Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of BlastCast. And with me, as always, is my ho-ho-ho lightning dragon.
Well, that's not very nice.
It's festive. It's festive.
Oh, sure. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I meant it only in the Santa Claus way. Possibly didn't mean it any other way whatsoever.
Of course. Nothing like that.
Alright, and let's go ahead and jump into the vertical slice. Now, just as a general statement, I think overall the presentation went really, really well. What was interesting to me, as especially later on in the game, where they ended up being on the foot for the final part, was the fact that they stated that in the commentary that you could approach these missions in a very sandbox way, meaning that you're not, you can come at it as a direct assault, you can try to come at it from different angles. It's that kind of open world structure that we're moving towards in the game. That's very impressive to me. And man, I tell you what, some people, obviously there's complainers out there all the time complaining about how long it took to do anything in the beginning of the demo. They're just walking around the ship or whatnot. But to me,
that's just emphasizing how big the ship is.
Yeah. But the way that you can start interacting with other people in the ship, or especially like the conversation where they're talking in the briefing room. I found it was a little weird to have a briefing room with that many seats, considering how many pilots can actually be on an Idris. It's like, we got 40 seats in this room and 3 ships. So,
well, you could look at it as if there was like a Marine detachment on board. The Marines would have like their own debriefing most likely, and the pilots should be there anyway because it'd be like half and half.
Well, I could see like major events,
It's still big, but I understand it.
Yeah. But it's better more than not enough, right?
Indeed.
That way they're not pulling out the folding chairs, But yeah, the looking at the rendered texture and the hologram, and especially when he got into the conversation with the captain, where he's talking about his family and whatnot, the facial expressions, I think they were fantastic. I think it was it reminded me very much of L.A. Noire, and that you can actually read faces to get more out of the conversation than just the words. And I think you're doing a great job along this aspect. Obviously, there needs to be a bit more tweaks on the syncing, and sometimes the mouths were a little too open. But that's all tweaks. And but overall, I haven't seen face capture this good since L.A. Noire. For those of you who played it, or own it, or both, so you could own it without playing it, aka Steam Summer Sales, or whatever. But yeah, definitely.
I don't think the Steam version of that game works. You might want to buy it on GOG if you're going to get it at all.
Yeah, there you go. Some advice. But even the sections of the game that were bad were actually good in a way of promoting feedback from a large part of the community that may never have spoken up before. Now, Lightning, we had talked about a while ago that when 3.0 went to live, that the forum boards would start, showing up with more and more of these threads talking about the flight model, and I've seen a lot of that recently. There's been just quite a few of them popping up in recent days. I think after the holidays get through, people get back home and download for the first time, because there's still people out there doing the whole traveling thing through New Year's and whatnot. They'll get back, they're like, oh, cool, 3.0's out, and they'll download it. I think you're going to see it pick up even more speed. But not only were the forums starting to pick up on people who I've never even seen before talking about the issues with flight, but in the commentary, when Chris Roberts was watching the space combat, he wasn't happy with it. Now, for those of you who recall back, the reason that 2.6 happened, for good or for bad, was that Chris Roberts wanted the ship combat to be much, much closer. He didn't want ships to basically be dots in the distance. Now, if you look at any of Chris Roberts' previous games, Wing Commander on through to Freelancer and Wing Commander 4, all of it, you find that the ships are always relatively close, relatively in your face. And, Wing Commander movie, for example, same kind of thing, in your face. Though I don't recommend watching that movie. Save yourself. So this is what happened with 2.6, partially, initially. Obviously, there were other mechanical issues in the game that kept that from being able to be maintained, mostly because the gimbals and the change in the rates made it so that gimbals were so dominant that they had to change it back in 2.6.3. So, from what I've seen in Chris's past games, you're most likely going to see another attempt at a 2.6. Now, he's not going to be able to pull this off unless, of course, we deal with that elephant in the room once and for all. But if it finally does, if he says they're going to start focusing on flight now, Chris, I know you're never going to watch my videos. Hire a flight developer, please. You know, that's like a big wish of mine. Just for CIG to buckle down and grab one of these guys who make these mods, who have worked on other major flight games, anything. Just for some creative input and direction that I feel that they really need. Now, aside from that, the graphics in space, the volumetric clouds in the nebula, the part where they fly between the two asteroids, or at least the two halves of the same asteroid, and the sounds and everything in there were amazing. I was blown away by it. In fact, when they came up in that large asteroid initially, I thought it was a graphical glitch. I don't know if you had the same impression, Lightning.
Which part? I mean, I remember the internal part of the asteroid.
Yeah, when they fly towards when they first see the asteroid, it looks like a mountain, pretty much sitting in clouds, and you know it's an asteroid, of course. And when they get close to it, I saw this blue line emanating from the center, and I thought, is that supposed to be water or something? Because it looked like a water line, and I was like, is this some sort of weird graphical glitch? And then I got closer to it, and I realized it was actually light coming out of the gap. And
I don't think I saw the same thing as you did, but then again, you also did, say that before I watched it, so maybe my mind automatically corrected. See, that's the nebula behind the asteroid.
Yeah, I tainted your perceptions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I used to draw and paint a lot, so for me, sometimes my eyes search out different patterns that maybe aren't even there. But so yeah, I thought it was a graphical glitch, but to fly in there like that, and well, that's the last place you want to dogfight. I tell you what, there's just nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. Circle strafing would still work though.
I think it's time for lightning complaints.
Uh-oh. All right, let me get my seatbelt on. There we go. We're good. We're good. Go ahead.
The UI still. I mean, ugh. The MDFs, you can't see them.
Yeah, the MFDs are. I think they mentioned that actually in the director's commentary that they weren't too happy with that as well. In fact, when they were zooming in on the radar to go to locations and whatnot, it was very clunky. The whole dragging and sliding thing over, which is fine. I mean, I don't mind the dragging and sliding over, but it seemed like, give an example. It's a difference between having an iPhone and one of those iWatches. You know what I'm saying? It's like you browse on an iPhone and you can read it, but you try to browse on an iWatch and it's just like the scroll, next scroll, and it kind of has this impression of basically squeezing too much into too small of an area. And like the MFDs, as I said, I like the MFDs, but a lot of the more modern fighters, even in our current time, they're starting to do like a kind of a unibody MFD. I think is it the F-35 like have a single piece?
I have absolutely no idea about the new F-35. Sorry. Okay. I've been avoiding it on purpose because I just don't want to get depressed when I read about it.
Oh, well, I thought that, and I could be wrong here, and I'm not going to stop recording just to go ahead and check, but I thought that the F-35 had almost like a single gigantic touch display. And that gave out all the information.
As common as touchscreens and everything are becoming, that really wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying is with having a larger MFD, one solid piece, you get rid of the borders, you get rid of the frames, you get rid of this or that, and you end up having a lot more real estate to work with. It doesn't take a lot of power to run an MFD at all, and so I could see doing something like that would work pretty well. Get so you have a larger readability. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things where I have to scroll in my mouse wheel so I can read the screen that it's actually already on my screen. It's kind of a problem. But that's something that's been long-standing for a while now. It's something they're going to have to figure out how to resolve, really. sometimes I think there's too much information on some of those MFDs, or information that's not overly important. And if they consolidated that a little bit, it'd be better.
Overall, though, it was a pretty interesting and nice to see demo.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One of the things, I'm not sure if it was just you or other people, like, for example, like the current flight mechanics, flight model, whatever flight something
mechanics
word you want to use.
We'll go with mechanics.
Whatever. How you fly your spaceship. I mean, obviously, most of the people, especially people that watch our channel, they agree, for the most part, that we need, like, slower gameplay. And you were making the comment that if they slowed down the combat or redesigned it at all, it would completely throw the entire game out of bounds. And I thought about that for a minute, and I believe we talked about it earlier. And I was saying that actually they could still slow everything down, because all they have to do is just change where you spawn in. I mean, if you're flying towards a target, you can probably have like a quote-unquote cruise mode, where if you're going in a straight line, you can go faster, but you can't, maneuver at those high speeds.
Well, yeah,
you slow it down.
That's the new Afterburner system. It's the Afterburner Phase 2 or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, well, it's already in there. You just have to hold down boost for a while, and it kicks it in.
There you go.
That's what you get for not playing the new version yet.
But it's bad. 3.0 is
bad.
It is.
I mean, I was out there. I did an hour and a half, actually. Well, I shouldn't say a full hour and a half. I did an hour and a half total between my 2 recording sessions on the same day of my brother. And that'll probably be up later this week in little bits and pieces. I won't make you watch the whole thing. But every time we got someplace to complete something or do something interesting, the server would crash.
Yeah, it's not ready.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got other games that I've been having a lot of fun with.
I know. You've been working on so many other people's streams and stuff, too. I'm getting jealous. Yeah. You're cheating on me.
Well, none of them have been live.
Okay, well, that's good.
There might be a co-op thing planned, but not with the guy I've been playing with, somebody else. And plug my own channel. I've been playing KSP again. Woo! So yeah.
Well, when we get to the ground portion, where he goes down to the slaver pen and whatnot. First of all, before we get there, as I said, the fact that you can pick your approach. They show the turrets shooting down the asteroids coming in, and they kind of give you an indication that, hey, there's something here that's going to detect you if you come in too high or whatnot. So he flies down low, he goes to the tunnels, a little bit of, Return to Jedi-esque, going through the passageways or whatnot. Slower paced, of course, but the ground combat felt more refined than the space combat. It still needs some work, still needs some tweaking, and they gave him infinite ammo, so that's kind of cheating. But going through the duct work and stuff like that, I think it was it's really kind of funny. You can catch like the idiosyncrasies of the AI in the game still that need to be tweaked out. Because, for example, like early on in the game where they're in the ship, it's like lieutenant, 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 lieutenant. And it's just like, dude, I remember reading one comment in the video that says, "I like the part where they said lieutenant." And but later on when he's in the duct work or stuff like that, he's like right underneath the dude, and it's just great. I mean, this is a common trope I see in video games. Like, there's like
Metal Gear.
Well, it's like really thin metal bars that are the guy standing on. And you're like right underneath him, and he can't notice you. I'm sorry, but it doesn't take much to like glance down. Hey, look, there's a dude beneath me in the vents. It's just like, what is it with video games and nobody looking down? Especially like I'm standing over the location of something that's man-sized that someone could slip through. I won't possibly ever look down and consider that as an option. So I mean, there's been a few games that actually I think that have kind of looked at that. I think of some of the I may be wrong on this, but some of the Batman's, the games like the Arkham City and whatnot, I think they would check the vents if you left indication that you'd gone there.
Yeah, if they see you go into the vents, I'm pretty sure they actually run over there and check it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's like, I mean, some proactive searching from the NPCs, I kind of like a challenge. I really do.
The thing about the Batman games though is they never looked up.
Yeah, that's true. They looked down, but never up.
Greats, but they never look up. So if you just clung to the ceiling, be like, "Where'd it go?"
Where are all my friends? There's like 47 guys dangling by their feet above his head. He's like, I don't understand what happened. And he would just wait for him to go underneath the same spot. It's like, nope, there's number 48.
But you know that we rag on Star Citizen for that, but like every game has that.
Every
problem.
game has its thing.
Skyrim, I've been shot with an arrow. I'll come find you. Oh, must have been nothing.
Must have been the wind. He's got an arrow sticking out of the side of his head. You know.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very common problem with AI from a long time.
Yeah, but Skyrim is notorious. And Skyrim, if Ray gets shot in the face, he's dead on the ground. The arrow sticking out. Must have been the wind. It's like, yes, it must have been.
He's at the brink of death, barely breathed. You know, arrows piercing his heart and lungs and stuff.
Damn you, wind!
Just the wind.
So yeah, I mean, it's a minor thing, but obviously it needs a bit more work. But I still think it's funny that no matter how hard you program an AI, there's always these patterns you can see in the way that they act. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was a great presentation. I was overall pleased with it. Some people were talking about they felt that the graphics weren't completely up to par, according to a lot of new modern games. Now, I will throw this caveat out there. I can understand where you're coming from to a degree, but there's something you have to bear in mind. They're not just generating a pre-rendered map area to play in. We're dealing with a game that's now actually expanding into full planets. I mean, complete freedom of movement. These other games have these really refined, high gloss shine, graphics effects, everything going off all the time with really good frame rates constantly. They're sitting very much in a well-defined boundary, well-defined box to play in. And they only have to deal with developing things and rendering things and showing things for that area. Because in Star Citizen, you're dealing with is if you can see it, you can get to it. And I don't know many games that can actually say that. I don't know of any game that you can say that, because every game that you pretty much play...
Technically, Zelda...
Well, maybe Volcron. Volcron would be good.
Volcron. Well, the new Zelda, like you can go almost anywhere in that one.
Almost, but you get to the edge of the map, right? And then like there's going to be like you get to the edge of the game world, and you're going to look over that last mountain ridge. There's going to be some sort of picture or something defining the...
I think there's like cliffs and pits and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is a border. I mean, there is
right.
You
it's
just
still
can't
box.
go here anymore. But
right.
For the most part, like anything that you could like realistically climb or pass over, you can get there. But again, very defined box area.
Right. It's a very, very large box, but it's a box nonetheless. All right, well, I guess that's about everything for this week's BlastCast. It's the Christmas I'm tired as hell and I can't take it anymore edition. So not too long of a show, not too much to talk about. Except I said kudos, CIG did a good job. Now keep doing what you're doing, fix the netcode, or at least the data calling, so we can go ahead and start enjoying less crashes and more gameplay. And thank you for finally acknowledging, Chris, that the flight model is not what you want. Or not good at all, or whatever that kind of came out. I didn't sense a lot of...
It's not what he wants.
Yeah, I didn't sense a lot of happiness in that, and that's great. I mean, that's good. We need to hear from the big guy on his point of view on it, at least know that it's not moving in the way he wants it to, so yay. But I hope you all have a great New Year's. If enough questions come out or whatnot, we'll maybe do another Citizen's Corner later in the week. But if not, then just accept the fact that we're probably drunk. Or something on New Year's.
I usually don't drink.
Yeah, I don't really drink either. Well, okay, so we won't be drunk on New Year's. We'll just be sitting, playing something else.
We'll probably just be gorging ourselves on video games of some kind.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys, we will catch you on the next one.
Bye-bye.